I went from 0 to 50,000 followers in 6 months just yapping to my phone. And I'm gonna break down the full process that I went through so you can use it to blow up on social media today. From the frameworks to the extra elements to the one skill that no one thinks about that'll completely change the way you think about making content. The first thing you need to understand is that yapping is the future. In a world where people are done with inauthentic content creators, people that are putting on a front, getting a fake podcast in some studio in Miami, and then just ripping 50 reels and posting those on social media, people are done with that shit and people see through that shit. What people wanna see today on social media is your authentic self, and how that shows up is you yapping to your phone. And that's what I did over the last 6 months, just yapping to my phone. It helped me grow from 0 to 50,000 followers because people want to see the real you. People want to see the behind the scenes. People want to pull down the curtain and see what are you really like. Now what you need to understand is the anatomy of a yap. What goes into a yap video? If you go watch the 200 pieces of content I posted over the last 6 months, you will see a formula, something that I focus on, the 3 elements that I think are the most important when it comes to making a yap video. The first one is topic. What are you talking about? The idea behind what you're talking about. Because I think on social media, a lot of creators have limited resources. And so you want to spend your time on the things that matter the most. And a lot of people think that things that matter the most are fancy editing and gear. I would put that on the bottom of the pyramid of importance. Then we go into hooks and formats, something a little bit more important in the grand scheme of things, not as important as what's about to come next. Then on top of that, I would probably say like delivery, style, and tone. I think that's really important when it comes to making content, but not as important as the thing at the top, which is topic, the idea of what you're talking about. Because all things being equal, I can make a video on how to get abs in 90 days or a video on how to build a B2B SaaS in 90 days, and the video about getting abs is going to get more views. It has a broader total addressable market. But you can't just focus on topic. You have to also focus on these 2 other things. Number 2 is angle. What angle are you hitting your topic with? A video that got us 2.3 million views, performed really well on Dan's social media, was meetings are the biggest time waster in any company. The topic of that video was meetings, but the angle of that video was meetings being a time waster. That is the reason why that video performed, and you can't ignore that, because if Dan went on social media and said meetings are the best use of time in any company, I don't think that video would have performed that well. And so you want to keep your angle in mind when you're making yap videos, because you want to pick the angle that's going to resonate with the most people to get you the most amount of views. And the last part in the anatomy of a yap is the format, because people think that yapping itself to your phone is a format. That's completely right, but there's sub formats, right? Things that are happening behind the scenes that you don't think about when yapping. An example of that is gamified content, straight to camera, listicle. Those are all examples of formats that you can use in your yap content to make it perform. But the key is to experiment with the anatomy of a yap, so that you're never stuck with a blank piece of paper. You're able to mix up different topics with different formats, with different angles, so that you have an unlimited content engine. But we're not done yet. We need to have a framework for picking topics, which brings us to number 3, how to pick topics. Here's how I like to pick topics. I like to focus on 3 things: demand, fit, and interest. Demand being what we talked about earlier, which is how many people care about this topic. That's really important. But then fit. If I made a video about getting abs in 90 days on my Instagram channel about getting followers, I don't think it would have performed as well because that topic doesn't have fit with my audience. And how I like to think about fit is 3 ways. And this comes from Patty Galloway, Mr. Beast YouTube strategist, and he calls it CCN fit: core, casual, and new audience fit. You want to make sure that all your topics that you're picking have exposure to your core, casual, and new audience. That's the way that you can make these broad topic videos that get millions of views, but then also serve your core audience. Bringing back the example of meetings being the biggest time waster in any company, that video served our core audience because it resonated with the business owner, but then also served our new and casual audience, who were the people that were maybe in a lot of meetings and kind of hated it. And that was all the people lighting up the comments. And so when you're thinking about topics, make sure that yes, it has demand. Yes, people care about it, but then also, does your audience have fit with that topic? And that is the biggest trap I see most content creators make on social media, is just optimizing for demand and not fit. But you can't forget the importance of interest. Are you genuinely interested in that topic? Because guess what? If you're not interested in that topic, feel free to not do it. And I see a lot of content creators force themselves into making videos that other people want to see, right? Their teams want to see. But the truth is, if you're not interested in that topic, your audience will feel that shit. And on the contrary, if you're excited about that topic like I am, and sharing with you my ideas about social media, then people are going to feel your excitement and your authenticity for that topic. And so if you want to pick the best topics, make sure that they all have demand, fit, and interest. But the biggest trap I see most people fall into is just set up their phone and start yapping without a framework, which brings us to number 4, the yap maxing framework. I'm going to teach you how to yap to your phone in a very simple way. It's a 4-step quadrant that I call the height framework. And all the height framework comes down to is number 1, hook the viewer in using context for what's going to be said in the video, the contrarian take, and then creating an open loop. An example of that is when I say trial reels aren't aren't dead, they're just misunderstood. That video for me got over 200,000 views on short form because it has context for what's going to be said in the video, right? Trial reels, I understand what the video is about. Then it has a contrarian take, they aren't dead, which when I posted that video, a lot of people were saying trial reels are dead, and then creates an open loop by saying they're misunderstood now, which piques curiosity in the viewer's mind and makes them think, what do I not understand about trial reels? That's what you want to focus on in your hook. Then we move to the explain section. You want to make sure that you're explaining why that matters for you. And if we go back to that video where I explain how trial reels work now, the explanation that I give people on why it matters for them is how trial reels completely transformed how we get views. And I get into how trial reels got us over 50 million views organically, and then I see that we completely switched our strategy, explaining the concept a little bit more. Then we move to the third part of the Yap Maxing framework, which is illustrations, right? All those illustrations are stories, examples, and analogies that connect something that is unknown, right, your concept, to something that is known, something that people understand. A super meta example is I could say making content without a framework is like trying to put a puzzle together without the picture on the box. The whole point of educational content, the whole point of yapping to your phone and teaching people stuff is for them to understand your concepts better. And that leads us to the last step in the Yap Maxing framework, which is teach. You want to make sure that you're teaching someone something. At the end of the day, we're not entertainment creators. We are educational creators. We want to teach people things. And the biggest trap I see most creators fall into is saying too many things in their teach, right? They have 6 steps, 7 steps, 9 steps, 10 steps to change their lives. And the truth is sometimes all you can do is just share one simple idea, one simple thing that people can implement in their lives and teach them that thing. And that's how they apply that information in their day-to-day lives. And by the way, if you want my internal GPT that helps you script your own videos in the Hype framework using hook, explain, illustrate, teach, and you put your niche in, it literally spits out 25 validated topics you can talk about. Just go find me on Instagram, sam.gadet, and message me the word GPT and I'll send it over to you. So now you understand the anatomy of a yap, how to pick topics that actually perform, and the Yap Maxing method framework. What you need to understand next is the little extra sauces that go into a yap video that you might not understand. And there's a few things that I'd like to share with you that I try to do in all my yap videos to make them perform that extra, 15-20% better. The first one is text on screen. It establishes context immediately. And the key here is you want to make sure that all your yap videos have between 1 and 2 lines of text, and you want to make sure that you're keeping it to a minimum amount of words, right? Ideally anywhere between 5 to 10 words. A lot of people scan thumbnails on social media. A lot of people scroll really freaking quick. And so you want to make sure people understand and can read and scan what you've written on the text hook as soon as possible. The next kind of element that you want to focus on is environment. Make sure to experiment whether you're yapping in your car, yapping at the office, yapping in your home, yapping, at your computer. Experiment with different environments and try to figure out what environments tend to perform better for you. The next little extra spice that I like to throw on my yap videos is my delivery style. And I think a lot of educational creators saw Mr. Beast blow up in the entertainment space and started trying to act like Mr. Beast. And the truth is, if you're an educator, you want to make sure that your delivery style is calm, cool, collected to get people to understand your concepts. And if you want to make yap videos that actually perform on social media, you have to tweak your delivery style away from high energy and more towards authentic content. The next little extra I like to throw in there is graphics on screen. Although I think it's probably not the most important thing on short form content, I do like throwing graphics on screen as a visual hook to get people pulled into your yap videos, so make sure that you're also leveraging that. The last thing that I want to share with you is the real power of these yap videos, which is the biggest benefit of yapping to your phone, which I think is increasing your communication skills. The more you yap to your phone, the better you're going to be able to communicate in a meeting to eventually, a camera. And the truth is those reps you cannot replace, because I truly think that was the biggest thing that changed for me. Yes, obviously going from 0 to 50K followers in 6 months brought me tons of opportunities in my life. But the biggest change that I have noticed and realized over the last 6 months is my ability to communicate my ideas. And so if you think that yapping to your phone is going to be hard, I can guarantee that it will be. But the truth is over 3, 5, 6, maybe 12 months, you will completely change the way that you communicate. And so I want this to be your message. If you feel called to, go out there and shoot your first video. Use all the frameworks that I shared in this video. And when you shoot your first video, I would love to see it. Find me on Instagram, sam.gadet, and just message me your first yapping video. I'd love to see how many people take on the challenge. And as a reminder, if you want my internal custom GPT that helps you script videos in the Hype framework, just find me on Instagram, sam.gadet, and message me the word GPT, and I'll send it over. And watch this video next if you want to learn how to grow on social media so fast, it kind of feels like cheating.